Happy day. We're here in the kitchen. It's Italian day. Not only is it Italian day, what we're going to do is make a mother sauce. We're going to make a red mother sauce this afternoon, and we're going to start off with a recipe given to me by a great friend. It's a little change on it because we're going to really multiply it since I'm going to use it for several different things. But a good friend named Sylvia Kaufman from Jakarta, Indonesia, gave me the basics of this sauce. It's a marinara sauce, and we're going to use some canned tomatoes today. Usually I use fresh. My tomatoes out of the garden have all shriveled up because of the heat. So we're going to use some canned tomatoes. And I am heating up my Le Creuset right now. I'm going to start off with some great olive oil. I like Ragusi. And as I said, we got this in the winery. We're gonna go to the winery in a few weeks. So we'll pick up some more and have it sent down. So we're gonna start off with some Ragusi olive oil. We're gonna put that in the bottom of a pan. And I am going to use about 2 to 3 tablespoons because we are making a giant batch. Now, a mother sauce is one of these types of sauces that you can take and use for different other things. I'm gonna use this mother sauce, this red sauce that I'm gonna make for different things like spaghetti. I am going to use it also for jambalaya. I use it for other different things. Sometimes I'll take a dollop of it and I'll put it in my red beans and rice because with a marinara sauce, it's very basic. So my olive oil is heating up right now and I've already chopped up my onion. I'm gonna use red onion today. I like the flavor of red onion in this, although I do like the flavor of a Vidalia, a sweet onion. So we're going to start with this. I have approximately 3 cups of red onion, and it's gonna go right here in my pan. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. I know you get to see me more than the food. We're going to go ahead and give that a stir. Now that's gonna take a while. I've got it on high. I'm gonna try to get it done faster for you. But I'm going to let this sweat it out. It's going to cook here in the pan, in the pot rather, and we're going to let it get translucent. With onion, what you're going to want to do, especially if you don't like chunky, I would cut up my onion more. I would chop it up more. I like a chunky sauce. Now I'm going to use it for something else, like in jambalaya. What I would do with this, with my sauce, is I would take a cup of the marinara sauce, and then on the side I would saute some bell pepper, some celery, and get that going. Use chicken stock, take my seafood or whatever, and I would put that in there. Now this is starting to get translucent. It's gonna take a little while. The next thing I'm going to add will be garlic. I don't add the garlic in right away though, because the garlic will tend to get bitter. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I was doing today. Before I did this, I did my cardio, and then I did my yoga, and it set me up for this because I love to get my exercise out of the way and then cook. Cooking is my passion, besides exercise, that too. And we just had a little onion pop up. So what we're gonna do with this marinara sauce, this is a relatively healthy sauce. You've got your olive oil, which is a good fat for you. I am gonna add a little bit of sugar. I like a little bit of sweetness to it. If I use it for something else though, the flavors of, say, the flavors for the jambalaya will take, will cover that sweetness. Also, you can add a little bit, if you're doing a jambalaya, you can add a little bit of lemon juice, and that will really make a difference. Okay, I'll show you a little bit. They're not ready yet, but they're getting there. So, as I said, we started off with 3 cups of onion. You can always cut back on any of the things that I talk to you about in these recipes. With this, it is going to make a giant batch of marinara sauce. Now, Sylvia took me over to her house the first time, and we did this in her kitchen. Back then, we had our cooks in Indonesia. They got everything prepped for us, but we still love to cook. We would make fresh pastas. We'd make fresh sausage. We do all kinds of things back then. It was a lot of fun. So we're getting closer to where we can add the garlic. As I said, you certainly don't want to add the garlic too soon. The aroma is coming off of this pot right now, and it's great. I like to use the Le Creuset with this because it is just a heavier pot. It's a cast iron with enamel. Very good. There are a couple others that you can use too. I don't like to use an aluminum pot or pan because sometimes they're reactive, and with as much tomatoes as we're going to have today in this recipe, could be an issue. So we're going to keep sauteing this for a little bit. Yeah, in Indonesia, we had quite a crew of people, and we would often entertain. It was a lot of fun back then. Brings back lots of memories. We left Indonesia approximately 20 years ago, and it was tough at first because there was no Facebook. There was no way to communicate. And then after Facebook came on, we were able to get back in touch with all of our friends from Indonesia. I see Sylvia and John out in California. She just had a visit from Linda Glass, who is a good friend also from Indonesia. We're hoping eventually this fall to see the Lowrys. We keep in touch with the Barneys and the Sheldons and quite a few people, the Woodards. So it's a lot of fun. Thank goodness for Facebook, where you're getting to see this video for the first time. I think we're almost there with the onion. It can go a little bit longer, but I know that we don't want to keep this going too long. So we're going to take the garlic. I have about a third, I wouldn't say, no, I would take that back. Less than a fourth of a cup of garlic. Remember, I told you we were garlic eaters. From Louisiana, you got to watch out for those Cajun vampires down there. So you hear the sizzle. The aroma coming off of this pot is unbelievable. So we're only going to cook this for a short time because we don't want it to get that bitter flavor. Okay, got it going here. It looks great. Let me show you. Got it like this. That translucent look is coming out. As I said, I love the red onion. I use a lot of red onion in my cooking. In Indonesia, we had a little different red onion, and you know, when I start doing some Indonesian videos, I'll have that on there. Now, I am going to add 102 ounces of tomato. You can, I'm using a canned tomato. If you were using a ripe tomato, you would use 6 pounds of tomatoes. So it's about 102 ounces of canned tomatoes. It is a monster, and it's gonna go right into this pot. Now I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit because I don't want it to get splattery, and it will do that. So I've got that going right now. We're going to give that a stir. And this is going to be one of the easiest sauces you've ever done. I did not chop the tomatoes up anymore. They're already chopped up. They're diced and chopped up. And that's the kind I like. I like a chunky sauce. I like to have texture. Texture is one of the great things about foods. When you bite into something and it's really there. Now, if you want to take an immersion blender, you can blend this down and you can use it for lots of other things. I also use this to make a soup. I do a tomato soup, a cream of tomato soup. Wonderful, wonderful soup for winter. So now I'm going to take 2 cans of tomato paste. You can use any brand of tomato paste. Tomato paste tends to make a richer sauce. I'm going to use a full can and 1/2. Let me go ahead and get this in here. There we go. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. So here's my 1/2 can of tomato paste. I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to put it on top of this right there, so that would seal my tomato paste for maybe my next juice for this week. I close this up, and then I can put this in a plastic bag and put it in the refrigerator. I can also take a dollop of this and put it on trays and freeze it, and then pull it out when I need it. So I'm going to go back to my sauce, and I've got it going here. Now I'm going to move the camera so you can see it. It is thick, it's red, it's beautiful. We're going to even add some more things to it though here. So now I'm going to add the little bit of sugar I talked to you about. So we put that in there and we give it a good stir so we can incorporate it all through. I'm thinking about all the things that I can make with the next few weeks. I freeze a lot of it too. And of course my mom has to get some because mom loves her marinara sauce and her pasta. So we're gonna get this going. It is going to cook a little bit. And then I am going to take Sylvia's secret ingredient. It was the wine. Now Sylvia used white wine. I use whatever kind of wine we have left over from the bottles that we drink. So I've got a cup right here of red. And then I'm going to add another cup, not a cup, about 3/4 of a cup of white wine. You always use a wine that you would drink. So we have bottles that are left over from when we have people over. We use those to incorporate to cook. And you don't go out and buy a $3 bottle of wine to cook with. You use something that you would normally drink. So we're gonna let this get going. There we go. So now it's getting a darker, oh, sorry about my hand. It's getting a darker color. And it's gonna simmer here. I'm gonna go ahead and let this simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour on low. I have already chopped up my fresh basil. I told you that I had a garden in the back and I have tons of beautiful basil coming up like that. And so we've got fresh basil going. So I took about 1.5 cups of basil and I chopped it up. Not chiffonade this time, but we're going to chop it up. But we're not gonna put it in yet because what's gonna happen is it will get too mushy. I don't want that. I'm gonna put it in toward the end of, not the end, but a little bit later. I'll show you some of the wines that we used today. We used a BR Cone. We used a Reynolds family. Looking forward to seeing Steve Reynolds and some of the other people out of the Reynolds family winery coming up. We used a Ferrari Carano. If you haven't been to Ferrari Carano's wine, the cellar is wonderful. And we're going to have some great sauce a little bit later on. So email me if you have any questions or message me on Facebook. Please share the video. Thanks for stopping in. We're going to drop back in to finish up this nice sauce. I am going to add my pepper. So I'm going to salt and pepper to taste. Remember, it's a large batch. And here's my salt. You can always add more salt afterwards depending on what you're cooking. We're going to take the basil and add the basil in now. All that beautiful fresh basil. Oh, how wonderful is that? Give it a good stir. Let that sauce thicken up a little bit more. And oh, are we good to go?